It's a bright sunny day in Cisferia. The vegetables are greener than yesterday. It's definitely one of those peaceful days when you wake up feeling refreshed. Well, maybe a bit rougher in this household. With a determined face, Karen grips the frying pan tighter as she looks at her peacefully asleep brother. Taking out a metal ladle, Karen clings out loudly on the frying pan to wake up her brother. Her brother gets startled, of course, and quickly sits up to complain about Karen's rough ways of waking him up. When he asks his sister to be more gentle, Karen begrudgingly tells him how she's been trying to call him over and over again to no avail, that is. In Karen's defense, she only did this because her brother wouldn't wake up at all. Surprisingly, her brother reveals he could actually hear Karen's voice the whole time. This has Karen sighing as she picks up the pillow on the floor. Karen then asks her brother if he plans to keep on waking up late once he marries his fiancée Adelia. But her brother only tells her on how Adelia's mansion of a house has maids who are gentle when waking people up. Annoyed, Karen slams the pillow on her brother's face. With that, Karen picks up her frying pan and turns around to leave. She also tells her brother that breakfast is ready. Her brother then calls her name, prompting Karen to turn around and see her brother's dazzling smile as he thanks her for always taking care of him. Blushing, Karen recalls what had happened 10 years ago. In Cisferia, women cannot inherit noble titles, so her sickly father worried for her and her mother's future. Karen's father ultimately made the decision to welcome her brother Clyde as a foster son of the Aldous family. Clyde had only been 10 years old then. Her mother had even encouraged her to say hi to her new brother, but she was only 6 years old and a bit shy. Karen had hid behind her mother's skirt as she stutters to introduce her name. Clyde had smiled gently at her, telling her how it was nice to meet her. That day, Clyde became her big brother. And now that Karen's parents are no longer around, they're a family of just the two of them. While Karen waits for her brother, she sets the bowl of food she had prepared for her parents' altar. Karen then asks her father and mother to watch over them again today. Not long, she hears Clyde call her. There, her brother stands handsomely as he apologizes for keeping her waiting. Clyde is also dressed for work now. The two then sit down for breakfast. After saying their graces, both of them enjoy Karen's cooking. After Clyde takes a big bite, his face immediately lights up from the flavors bursting in his mouth. He then praises his sister for the delicious food as always. When Clyde asks if these vegetables are from her garden, Karen confirms it and tells him she picked them this morning, so they're very fresh. Karen then shares how she heard that you can increase a tomato's sweetness if you reduce the water you give it. At first, she thought that might be too cruel, but she did try it eventually. With a smile on her face, she asks Clyde if the tomatoes are sweeter now. Clyde only chuckles at her sister, which only confuses her. Clyde then explains how the vegetables are delicious because she raised them with so much love. The thought of not being able to eat them once he gets married makes Clyde extra sad right now. Well, he's not the only one who's looking sad right now. Karen grows quiet as she feels her chest hurts. Clyde, on the other hand, realizes it's already getting late, but seeing Karen's face has him worried. Quickly standing up, Clyde touches Karen's forehead, which has the girl blushing and pulling away. Clyde only did that because her sister got really quiet and he thought she was catching a fever. Karen screams, expressing how she's always been quiet. Clyde only chuckles at her. Changing the subject, Karen hands him his lunch and dismisses her brother so quickly by saying he'll be late for work. As she waves Clyde goodbye, Karen thinks of how scared she actually felt earlier. Her heart was racing so crazily. Getting back inside, Karen starts cleaning up their table. Clyde had finished everything again today, per usual. Karen likes cooking, she also likes cleaning and doing the laundry. But most of all, taking care of vegetables is what she loves. She takes care of these plants like they're her babies. She picks out the bugs eating the leaves away. She also sets up a simple trellis for the vegetables to grow on. When Karen sees ready to pick vegetables, she lightly squeezes them to confirm before actually harvesting them. Sometimes, like today while she's picking tomatoes, she likes to take a bite of them and see how they taste. Suddenly, she feels a stinging sensation from her chest. The pain doesn't even go away even after a while. Walking towards the door, Karen clutches her chest as she feels it stinging again. As soon as she gets inside, Karen immediately goes to the mirror to see what's happening to her chest. There, at the center of her melons, is a mark. Karen is confused upon seeing it and thinks it's just a bug bite, probably insect revenge. It's good thing it's shopping day in town today. With that, she adds one more task to her to-do list. Buy some ointment for her bug bite. After getting everything on her list, all there's left is the pharmacy. But before she could get there, a child bumps onto her. She then sees that someone is distributing newspapers. There are copies flying in the air too. As one flies towards Karen's face, she quickly gets it and reads the print. The spirit princess has passed away. In this world protected by the blessing of spirits, the spirit princess serves the spirits as their priestess and connects spirits and humans so that their blessings reach everyone. The spirit princess is essential to the world's peace. The print then says that the royal capital's spirit church is seeking candidates for the new spirit princess. This means they haven't chosen the next spirit princess yet, which also mean bad news. Anyways, the print says these candidates will bear a mark. Surprisingly, the mark etched on the print and the one Karen's chest look the same. Even Karen is stunned to see it. The words still ring in Karen's mind. As she takes her bath, Karen touches the sign on her chest. The question lingers. Why her? And what happens to her if she doesn't go to the spirit church to report herself? Does that mean the spirits will stop protecting the world? If that's the case, Karen knows it'll cause a huge problem. But even if she is the spirit princess, there are so many issues with her being one. Aside from the pressure that comes with the title, Karen doesn't even know how to talk to spirits. She's never seen one too. Karen thinks about it all day long. There's even a sliver of hope in her that thinks she might not be the spirit princess after all. But then she looks at her mark again, and no matter how she sees it, it's just like the one on the print she read. And most importantly, if she really is the spirit princess, Karen would have to live in the spirit palace where the headquarters of the spirit church is. Karen has been dealing with all these questions all week long until dinner time. Even Clyde has taken notice on this and comments on how his sister has been acting strange for the past few days. Hearing this, Karen gets startled and tries making up an excuse. Watching Karen mumble and stutter has Clyde assuring her that he's always going to be there for her if anything happens. After all, they're a family of just the two of them. Karen awkwardly laughs, feeling guilty about this whole ordeal. When Clyde says things like that, it makes it even harder to tell him. Changing the subject, Karen asks her brother if he's not leaving for work yet. Clyde's attention quickly goes to his watch, realizing he has to leave or he's going to be late. But before leaving, Clyde remembers the extra edition they got yesterday, shocking Karen since they've been releasing prints consecutively for a while now. Karen grows quiet, thinking the spirit church might behead her if she doesn't report herself now. Clyde reads the print and tells Karen about the spirit church finding the new spirit princess. Stunned and confused, Karen blinks her eyes. Maybe she's not the spirit princess after all. Karen then calms down, throwing all her worries out the window in an instant. To her, it looks like she worried for nothing. The day continues as usual. Karen goes to tend to her vegetable garden, apologizing to her plants for neglecting caring for them for a while. She inspects all the vegetables, expressing how glad she is that everything looks healthy. Even her lettuce got so big. Crouching down, Karen picks one out for harvest when she hears a strange sound coming from the vegetables. She looks around puzzled but sees nothing out of the ordinary. Thinking it was just her imagination playing with her, Karen goes back to harvesting the lettuce. After that, Karen goes to her tomatoes and sees they're bright and red, perfect for harvesting. She plucks one out and for some odd reason hears the same sound again. Karen stares at the tomato, confused with what's happening. After the tomatoes, Karen goes to harvest more of the vegetables. Still, every time she plucks the vegetable out, she hears the same sound again. Karen stares at the vegetables with a confused look. What was that sound? Karen eventually pays it no mind and goes back in to start preparing dinner. Not long, Clyde comes back from work and changes to his regular clothes. He immediately takes in the nice smell from the kitchen. Karen happily tells him that she made soup since a lot of ripe tomatoes were ready to pick. After saying grace, the two dig in. They both go completely still as they both revel in the taste. Clyde asks what's in the soup since the flavor is so rich to the mouth. Not only that, but the vegetable aroma is strong. Of course, it's always been delicious, but today's especially good. Chewing on the food, Karen agrees since she's shocked as well. Since Karen inherited the garden from her mother, this is actually the first time she's harvested vegetables this delicious. With that, Clyde jokingly asks if his sister had used magic or something. Karen is too stunned to speak, sweating as she stops eating. She doesn't reply and Clyde doesn't press on it since it was just a joke to him. After dinner, Karen goes to wash the dishes while Clyde helps clear out the table. Nighttime soon comes. In her room, Karen gets a notebook and a pen to write down everything she's noticed with her vegetables. Whenever Karen picked up the vegetables, a strange sound rang. It also happened whenever Karen thought, oh good. Whenever she cooked using those vegetables, it turned to be unbelievably delicious too. But it seems they've already found the new spirit princess. So is this all coincidence? Karen thinks about it again. She feels like this has something to do with that spirit princess mark. However, Karen also entertains the possibility that there may be more than one spirit princess, which means she could be her. Suddenly, Clyde bursts into her room with barely anything on. Karen is shocked to see him, blushing as she gets away from him. Clyde smilingly asks her where the shampoo refill is, to which she tells him it's on the top shelf in the bathroom. She then scolds Clyde for walking around looking like that. Clyde doesn't seem to find fault in what he's wearing. I mean, he did cover the important parts properly. This has Karen slapping him with a pillow, causing Clyde to burst out laughing. He smiles at Karen one more time before leaving, even saying this is the usual Karen he knows. Karen then stops with the pillow thrashing. She's now annoyed with her brother. If she weren't the way she is, Karen wouldn't go and wake him up. After that, Karen calms herself down as she sits back in her chair. Writing in her notebook, Karen still has Clyde in her mind. After all, Karen does love her adoptive brother. The next day, Karen gets herself busy in her garden. As she holds her vegetables, she thinks about how her power works. When the sound happens, the vegetables did become tastier. Karen then crouches down to her tomatoes. Realizing she picked too many yesterday, she doesn't have enough for today now. However, if Karen really is the spirit princess, she could make them grow, right? Without a clue as to how to do something like this, Karen reaches out to her tomato plants and asks to ripen them enough for today's meal. Thinking she's being silly for wishing for something so convenient, Karen chuckles as she backs away. However, her eyes widen as she sees the tomatoes have indeed ripened in front of her. Karen's eyes twinkle in amazement, thinking how fun her new power is. She then looks around, calling out to the spirit and asks if she can grow things from scratch as well. Karen then bends down to touch the ground. This is the perfect spot to grow an apple tree, is it not? After Karen wishes for an apple tree to grow, a tiny plant soon sprouts in its place. Not long, the plant sprouts its branches and leaves begin to bloom. There, in front of Karen, is an apple tree full of fruit ready for harvest. Staring at the apple tree, Karen is amazed with the spirit princess's power. Even though she didn't plant any seeds, Karen was able to grow an apple tree. With that, she even thinks about how nice it would be if there were trees that grew meat too. It's surprisingly greedy to ask, but it's worth the try, right? With that, Karen feels the ground again and asks to grow a tree that bears meat. Nothing happens. It seems growing things that don't exist in reality is impossible. Karen feels a bit disappointed too. Anyways, she did get her apple tree. With it, she can bake the apple pie her brother loves. Clyde soon comes home to the delicious smell of the pie. He immediately compliments the smell and is even ecstatic to see that it's apple pie in Karen's hands. Karen shares how she tried baking it now since it's been a while since she made one. Clyde stares at the apple pie with hungry eyes. It definitely looks delicious. When Karen asks him if he wants to eat fresh out of the oven, Clyde quickly tells yes. As soon as the pie hits his mouth, Clyde immediately takes in the delicious flavor. This is the best Karen's ever made as well. Even Karen herself is amazed with how delicious it turned out. A happy Karen then tells her brother how there are still plenty of apples, so she'll definitely make more apple pie. Clyde is shocked to hear that the apple came from the garden. Well, Karen doesn't deny it and confirms it did come from the backyard. Clyde seems puzzled as he has never noticed an apple tree in their garden. Karen quickly reasons out it's probably because the tree never bore fruit until now. He's even more confused if apples even grow at this time of the year. Awkwardly laughing, Karen says it's the first time it bore fruit, so the timing's a bit off. Changing the subject, Karen asks Clyde if he wants some more tea. This worked as Clyde has now shifted his focus on the tea. With that, Clyde also remembered something important to tell Karen. Adelia is apparently coming over for lunch next week, so Clyde wants his sister to welcome her. Karen is surprised that his fiancée is visiting their home at midday when Clyde is at work. According to Adelia, she wants to personally talk to Karen. Karen is taken back by this. Lady Adelia is the daughter of the current lord of the Aldous region and of course Clyde's fiancée. The truth is, Karen doesn't really want to meet her, but she can't tell her brother that. Instead, she plasters a smile on her face and tells Clyde okay. The next day, Karen is tending to her garden when she gets startled by someone shouting her name. Karen has visited her and is in tears right now as she tells Karen how her family's cake shop is in trouble. Kiri immediately goes to Karen for a hug, telling her about some handsome guys who are making everything a disaster. Although confused, Karen asks her friend to calm down first so they can talk. Karen then takes Kiri inside for some tea. That's when Kiri spilled the tea on what happened. A cake shop had opened right across their shop. Karen immediately realizes this was the place that was under construction a while back. After confirming that, Kiri shares how the new shop specializes in stylish foreign-style cakes. That's not even the worst part too. All the cake shop staff are handsome men. Karen realizes how grave the situation is. Handsome men are a tough opponent after all. Crying miserably, Kiri reveals how all their female customers have been stolen away. Seeing her friend like this has Karen worried and asks her to have some apple pie so she can cheer up a bit. As soon as she places the pie on the table, Kiri calms down to ask if Karen had made it herself, especially that apples are rare this season. Karen happily tells her how these grew in her backyard. Kiri then takes a fork full of the pie and eats it. She immediately succumbs to the apple pie's rich taste. The incredible taste of the apple is just spreading in her mouth. She then compliments Karen for being a genius. Smiling, Karen hands her some apple slices to try as well. As soon as Kiri puts in her mouth, she is speechless with how good it is. Karen then suggests for Kiri to try using these apples in their shop's cakes. Karen believes Kiri's dad will make the best cakes if he uses them. When Kiri asks if that's okay, Karen quickly tells her yes and goes to prepare some apples. Climbing up the apple tree, Karen tells the spirit how she wants to help Kiri with her problem, so she asks the spirit to make the apples grow again. The spirit somehow obliges and apples start growing on the tree. Soon Karen already has enough harvested apples to give to Kiri. However, Karen didn't realize that her friend had followed her to the garden and saw everything. Kiri had heard a weird sound and suddenly delicious-looking apples popped out. At this moment, Karen doesn't know what to do. Should she tell her friend that she's the spirit princess? But Kiri has other theories in mind, asking Karen if she's the apple-growing big sis. It looks like Kiri hasn't figured it out just yet. And because Karen loves the thought of her being the apple princess, she went along with it. Karen showed her friend how she grows apples, making Kiri exclaim how cool it is to have such power. All Karen asks of her is to keep it a secret. Curious, Kiri asks why when it's actually an amazing power to have. Karen quickly makes up a story that if people found out, some villain might capture her and force her to grow apples day and night. Kiri didn't even suspect a single thing and agrees to keep it a secret. Looking at the harvested apples, Kiri shares how she never knew her friend had such power. She didn't notice at all. Well, it kinda just suddenly dawned on Karen too. When Kiri asks if her brother knows, Karen goes mute. This has Kiri pressing on her question, asking if Karen has secrets from Clyde. Cornered, Karen stutters as she tells her friend yes. Trying to steer the conversation away, Karen reminds her friend to keep this a secret, that she's the apple-growing big sis. Kiri gives her a salute, confirming her loyalty to Karen. After Kiri thanks her, Karen recalls their childhood. She was new at school and everyone knew she was the young lady of the Aldous family. They weren't really making friends with Karen, questioning why she would enroll herself in a town school when she's supposed to be a noble. So Karen had sat alone with her books. Not even a single one of them wanted to share lunch with her, except for one person. As Karen unties her lunch bag, a girl had approached her and told her she knew how to make lunch taste even better. The girl smiled at Karen and asks to eat with her. It was Kiri with her cakes. Although at that time all the cakes Kiri had brought were all trial bakes, she insisted to share them with Karen. While everyone else just stared at them, Kiri was the only one who showed her kindness. Flashing her a warm smile, Karen thanks Kiri. This confuses Kiri while Karen only giggles. After that, Karen helps Kiri carry the basket of apples to their shop. There, Karen sees how all the women are lining up at the shop across the street. It's really thriving right now. Kiri, on the other hand, is irritated and can't seem to wait for their revenge. As soon as the girls enter the cake shop, Kiri immediately sees how depressing her mom looks like. She's even more depressed than this morning. Kiri's mom still tries to smile as best as she can, welcoming Karen to their shop. Kiri then assures her mom it's going to be okay and presents her the apples that will save them. Kiri's mom is confused why apples would grow in this season, which prompts Karen to explain these had grown in her garden. Kiri then presses her mom to eat some and to prepare to be shocked after. Kiri's dad also joins in. After peeling and slicing an apple, both Kiri's parents take a bite and are engulfed with its deliciousness. Karen then asks them if they can use these apples for their cakes. Both Kiri's mom and dad agree. With these apples, they can definitely make amazing cakes. Kiri's dad then bows slightly, sincerely thanking Karen for her help. Even Kiri's mom bows too. Karen quickly asks them to raise their heads since this isn't a problem to her at all. With that, Kiri's dad happily tells them he'll start baking the best apple pie right away. While Kiri's parents get busy in the kitchen, Kiri tells her friend they'll both wait in her room. As they ascend the stairs, Kiri swiftly turns around to face Karen. Without further explanation whatsoever, Kiri throws her arms around Karen to give her a hug, expressing how much she loves her best friend. Sometime later, the apple pie Kiri's dad and mom made became an instant hit. It soon garnered a lot of patrons. As Karen and Clyde walk towards the cake shop, Kiri greets both of them. Karen then tells her they're here to check things out. Thanks to Karen, business has been booming and everyone's here for the apple pie. Even the handsome guys across the street seem curious. Kiri then turns to Clyde to ask him if he wants to work as a store clerk. She calls this an eye for an eye since it's going to be handsome men versus handsome men. This will be final blow to that shop across the street. Smiling, Clyde turns down the job offer since palace guards aren't allowed to have side jobs. Meanwhile, Karen is busy looking at the food and drinks Kiri has in her tray. It's apple tea which her mom made using the leftover apple peels. She then tells both Karen and Clyde to enjoy it with their sample apple pie. As soon as they eat and drink the snacks, both Karen and Clyde's eyes sparkle in amazement. The apple tea makes the pie taste even better now. They can't believe Kiri's mom made tea this delicious just from apple peels too. Kiri's younger brother then joins them, asking his big sis for some apple pie. However, Kiri is reluctant to give him some more since he just had it. It's that good that even seconds aren't enough. Karen then asks to help her best friend in handing out the samples. This is when Kiri reveals they're actually almost out of apples, and asks Karen if they can rely on her apple-growing big sister's power. Kiri asks so kindly if it's okay to ask for some apples again. Looking around, Karen sees how everyone is smiling because of her apples. She gives Kiri a big smile before agreeing. Seeing everyone this happy makes her happy too. That night, Karen and Clyde had finished dinner and are now talking about the cake shop being so popular. Clyde has a cup in hand and chugs it all down. This makes Karen worried that her brother will be drinking too much. Smiling, Clyde assures her it's okay, especially that he has some delicious snacks to pair his drink with. Today's harvest is edamame, plump beans boiled with salt, which makes it perfect to eat. Picking up the bottle, Clyde offers some ale to Karen, which she turns down immediately, especially that it's bitter. This has Clyde joking and calling Karen a child for not understanding the ale's flavor profile. But Karen doesn't care what he says as long as the edamame is tasty. Clyde then bursts out laughing when Karen takes a bite on the edamame. It seems it isn't as tasty as she thought it would be. Anyways, Clyde then brings up the subject of the Royal Palace Ball and asks Karen if she's going to attend since they got an invitation. The ball will take place in about 2 weeks, making Clyde ask if Karen can get her dress ready in time. He also needs to arrange a carriage for transport. However, Karen expresses how she doesn't want to go and she refuses to wear a dress in this heat. When asked if he'll go, Clyde also says he can't because of work. Karen doesn't see anything interesting about the ball too, when half of it is just people looking for partners. And since Clyde is already engaged, of course he wouldn't go anyways. Speaking of, it's been 2 years since Clyde got engaged. This has Karen asking when will he and Adelia get married. Placing his ale on the table, Clyde reveals it's not time yet since he made Adelia agree to the condition that he won't marry until Karen gets married. Karen's face is of pure shock while Clyde just smiles at her, saying he can't get married and just leave her alone. Now Karen is sweating. She quickly gets up her seat, asking what happens if she never gets married. Does that mean Clyde will also never get married? Clyde laughs calmly, saying if that's how things will be, then so be it. This isn't funny to Karen at all. Of course she'd be happy to stay with Clyde forever, but if that means he can't be happy, then she would flat out refuse. Karen then presses for Clyde to take back his condition. Standing up, Clyde retaliates with a question, asking if his sister thinks she won't be able to get married at all. Patting her on the head, Clyde calls Karen cute and assures her she'll find a good partner one day. A good partner, huh? Just as Karen thinks about it, she hears Clyde stumbling towards his bedroom. She quickly wraps her arms around him so he wouldn't lose his balance. When Karen scolds him for drinking too much, Clyde only laughs and tells her it's because the roasted edamame were too tasty. They finally reach upstairs and Clyde tells she can stop here as he can carry on by himself now. However, Clyde is way too drunk and loses his balance, carrying Karen with him in the process. They both land on the bed with Karen underneath the drunk Clyde. When Karen tells him he's so heavy and too close, Clyde only expresses how much he loves her. Blushing, Karen exclaims it's just the ale talking. Karen tries to pry him off of her, but he's too heavy. When Clyde stares at her, he promises to protect Karen his whole life. Karen blushes even more, worrying that Clyde can hear her heart racing now. Clyde isn't even done yet, saying how he'll always be on her side even if the whole world becomes her enemy. With that, he asks Karen to rely on him more as he gives her a tight hug. Worried that Clyde might feel her heartbeat, Karen kicks him right where it hurts the most, between his legs. Karen apologizes for what she did before running out of his room. If he heard his heartbeat like that, it'd be so embarrassing. How is she going to face Clyde tomorrow now? The next day, Clyde is sporting a major hangover. As he sits down, Karen immediately hands him some water while scolding him for drinking so much even though he has a weak alcohol tolerance. Clyde can't even recall that he drank too much, or maybe he's just pretending he didn't so Karen wouldn't be embarrassed with what happened. And so Kiri went to Karen's house again to help her pick more apples. As she sits on the grass, she sees that the apples are looking delicious today. Worried, Karen asks her if she can really carry the basket of apples by herself. Kiri assures her she can, especially that they're from Karen's family. After gathering the apples, Kiri then hands her an envelope of money. Karen is shocked to see that much money. A smiling Kiri explains how this includes the last time they got apples and hopes that Karen will keep sharing her delicious apples with her. Of course, Karen will happily share them as long as Kiri and her family will use them. As Kiri waves her goodbye, Karen realizes there are ways to earn money, just like this one. She instantly remembers what the drunk Clyde had said about not getting married and leave her alone. With that, Karen believes she can hopefully change Clyde's mind if she can work and earn money. By then, Clyde will be able to get married without worry, right? Karen then goes back to tending her vegetables. Inspecting her eggplants, Karen notices they aren't getting enough water and apologizes to her plants. She quickly gets water and happily waters them, even telling her plants to grow deliciously. Looking at the sky, a warm smile forms on Karen's face. It's indeed a beautiful sight to behold. After a while, she turns around to get back to watering her plants when she suddenly notices that one of the tomatoes have a huge bite on it. Karen immediately deduces this could be the work of insects, so she crouches to get a closer inspection. Upon seeing the insect's tail hiding underneath one of the leaves, Karen thinks it's a giant caterpillar, the largest ever recorded at that. However, when Karen lifts the leaf, she's shocked to see a small winged dragon. It has a tomato in its tiny hands and its mouth biting into it as it stares at Karen. This is the first time Karen has ever seen a dragon before, so she's both surprised and curious at the same time. She then thinks of touching it but is afraid it might run away. Still, Karen slowly holds out her hand to the dragon. Soon after, the baby dragon is now in Karen's arms. She's managed to hold it while it eats the tomato. Karen tries to talk to it, asking where it had come from. But the dragon is too busy getting its mouth full of tomato, making Karen worry. She warns the dragon not to put so much in its mouth since she's not taking the tomato from it. Her warning goes unheeded, and soon the dragon vomits all the food on Karen. Now both Karen and the baby dragon are soaked in tomato juices. This has Karen deciding to take the baby dragon back inside for now. Once at home, Karen immediately takes the dragon with her to the bathroom. She then draws a bath after changing out of dirty clothes. The baby dragon still has a tomato in its hands. It stuffed its mouth with too much of it and ended up getting all sticky. Still, the baby dragon is munching on another tomato, seemingly can't get enough with the vegetable. Karen then grabs the dragon, getting it in the bath. But as soon as its body touches the water, it begins wading and splashing around. Afraid of the water, the baby dragon flies up in the air and dashes out of the bathroom. Karen quickly gets a towel and wraps it around her body so she could follow the baby dragon outside. Outside, the baby dragon has taken refuge on Clyde's head. After greeting Karen, he then asks what the cute little thing snuggling up to him is. Explaining, Karen tells him how it was in the garden and had gotten dirty like a pig, so she thought of taking it home and giving it a bath. As soon as Karen mentions the word bath, the baby dragon shakes its head vehemently. Clyde then realizes it might not be a fan of water, so Clyde offers to wipe the dragon with a wet towel instead. After that, he tells Karen to finish her bath or she might catch a cold. This has Karen dashing back to the bathroom. It's only now she realizes she's literally just wearing a towel. Blushing, Karen's heart is racing as she thinks about Clyde seeing her like this. But then a wave of disappointment flushes through her. Clyde didn't look shaken at all. After all, she's his adoptive sister. After bathing and changing into fresh clothes, Karen sees Clyde playing with the baby dragon. Clyde then asks her if dragons are spirits too. Karen's garden is incredible if it can even attract spirits, says Clyde. When Karen asks what to do with this baby dragon, Clyde immediately asks her if she wants to keep it. But Karen asks her if they're even allowed to keep one in the first place. If they won't keep it, Clyde says their other option is to hand it over to the spirit church. Karen quickly reacts to the mention of it. Shaking, she asks Clyde to keep the dragon at home. With that, Clyde immediately suggests giving it the name Chad. Karen realizes her brother really did mean to keep it since he already thought a name to give it. Looking at Chad, Clyde tells it to grow up fast so it can protect Karen from robbers. Karen says that's a bit of a stretch. Robbers? Really? Smiling, Clyde shares how there was a robbery in town today, but they managed to catch the culprit in time. However, Clyde did get a bit injured. It seems that these people get worse every year, that it's becoming really troubling. When Clyde starts warning his sister about being careful because she's always alone during the day, Karen interjects. All she heard was the part where Clyde got injured. She then asks him if this is the reason why he came home early and why he didn't bother mentioning that first. Clyde doesn't see anything wrong with it since he already got treated and his wound is already closed. He does, however, asks Karen to get him some pain medicine. Although annoyed, Karen quickly goes to get it. As Karen places the medicine and some water on the table, she scolds Clyde for never telling her important things ever. He always asks her to consult him about anything, but he's doing the opposite. Karen then mentions the marriage condition he had set with Adelia. This has Clyde dumbfounded. He never meant to tell her in the first place, it seems. When he asks about it, Karen reveals he had drunkenly slipped it 2 nights ago. Clyde gives himself a facepalm. He was drunk after all. With a serious face, Karen tells him how he has no intention of ever getting married, so Clyde needs to cancel that ridiculous condition. If he keeps this up, he'll never be able to get married. But Clyde gives her an affirming no. If Clyde gets married before Karen, the Aldous family will disappear. When he tells Karen that she'll become a commoner if that happens, she only tells him she doesn't care about her status. Now Clyde is serious. He doesn't want Karen to say things so easily. Even if she doesn't mind, it won't look good to their parents. This is the reason why they made him their adopted son in the first place. Clyde then reminds his sister of her dream before. Karen had always dreamed of becoming a bride herself. Karen is surprised that Clyde still remembers this. It was when they were younger and Clyde had asked her what her dream for the future is. They were out fishing then. Karen had told him she wanted to become a bride. Clyde had turned to ask if Karen wanted to become his bride. Karen had blushed before telling him she didn't want to because he's poor. If she was going to be a bride, Karen wants someone richer. At that time, Clyde had just smiled even though he got rejected. Back then, if Karen had been honest and said how much she loves Clyde, she now wonders if a different future would exist. The next day, Karen goes out to town and heads to the pharmacy. As soon as the doctor sees her, he immediately stands up to greet Karen. After all, she is Lady Karen to the people. When asked what she's here for, Karen tells the doctor that she ran out of painkillers and is here to get some. The doctor looks at Karen with worry. They currently have no stock of painkillers. This news shocks Karen, prompting the doctor to explain further. The long early summer rains has caused a poor harvest of elfrime grass, which is used in making painkillers. Right now they can't make any because of this shortage problem. It's not only Karen who's troubled with this, but also the townspeople. Leaving the pharmacy, Karen is worried because Clyde won't have his medicine for today. She thinks she could probably go to the neighboring town. They'll probably have some. But then she remembers what the doctor had said about elfrime grass. Quickly getting home, Karen believes they can grow some using the spirit's power. As soon as she arrives home, Karen quickly dives herself in research. She then finds the information she's looking for. Elfrime grass is a 1-year vine with pain-relieving properties and prefers well-drained, sunny soil. Karen then goes outside to find the perfect spot. Crouching down, Karen touches the ground before asking the spirits to let elfrime grass grow. Just as she thought nothing was happening, Karen is beyond surprised to see sprouts growing on the ground. Not long after, the sprouts are now full-grown. The ground that was once empty is now full of elfrime grass. Karen then dryly chuckles, thinking this is all too much. But with this much, Karen can also make some for the townspeople too. Karen immediately returns to see the doctor, taking with her harvested elfrime grass. When asked where she got the grass, Karen reasons how she consulted an acquaintance and they had supplied it. Karen then asks if they can make painkillers now. The doctor's eyes twinkle, sharing how they can actually make high-quality painkillers with the quality of the elfrime grass she had brought. Karen then asks him to give some to the townspeople as well. The doctor is so happy as he touches the elfrime grass. To gather such fine elfrime grass in such a short time, he calls this the power of the Count's household. Truly different. Knowing Karen is in a hurry, he tells her he'll prepare the portion she requested immediately. After thanking the doctor, Karen goes outside to wait for the painkillers. While she waits, a lot of people greet her, even calling her Lady Karen. In Karen's mind, this is just because of her status, which she thinks she'll live easier without. If it's also hindering Clyde's happy marriage, all the more reason she wants it gone too. The doctor then comes out to tell her the medicine is now ready. Arriving home, Clyde is surprised to see the medicine and asks Karen if she went all the way to town to buy it. Karen confirms this and also shares how she bought some apple pie from the Kiri household while she was at it. However, Chad had other plans. The baby dragon dashes towards the apple pie and smothers its face into it. Karen does not look happy at all and quickly gets Chad out of the pie. This whole scene has Clyde bursting in laughter. Now Karen is annoyed at her brother. This isn't funny at all. Seeing Clyde laughing like this, Karen wishes she could live to see such a smile like this forever. But then, her brother wouldn't be happy. With that, Karen has to talk and convince him to rescind the condition. Anyways, the apple pie was supposed to be the tea snack for Adelia tomorrow. But now, it's all inside Chad's stomach. The next day, Adelia arrives at their house complaining about how shabby it is. Adelia then greets Karen, telling her she looks well. Smiling, Karen welcomes her in, explaining how the house may be old but it won't collapse. After assuring Adelia, she then prompts her to come inside. Karen then excuses herself to prepare the tea. Before she leaves, Adelia commands her butler to hand over the tea snack to Karen. Handing over the apple pie, Adelia shares how she bought it at a popular apple pie shop among commoners and asks if they can serve this for tea. Seeing the apple pie, Karen realizes it's the Kiri household's apple pie. She can't believe it's so popular it's known even to nobles now. Adelia then takes a seat when she suddenly yelps. She's frightened at the sight of the dragon that was happily sitting on the sofa. Chad quickly flies towards Karen. Meanwhile, Adelia realizes it's a dragon and is now curious why it's here. Karen quickly hugs Chad while explaining to Adelia how she rescued it while it was eating tomatoes in their garden. This has Adelia excited, believing it's Clyde's dragon and thinks they can keep a dragon once they get married. Karen quickly shuts down Adelia, saying the dragon is her personal dragon. This has Adelia disappointed. After that, Karen goes to prepare their tea. She then presents Adelia the iced tea she made. Seeing it, Adelia asks her if she made it herself, in which Karen is confused if it doesn't taste good. This has Adelia even more disappointed that there's no personal cook in the Aldous household. Karen doesn't pay much attention to it and brings out the apple pie Adelia had brought. As soon as Adelia takes a whiff of it, she's surprised with how good it smells. It's rare to have apples at this time of the year, so she's really curious where the cake shop got the apples from. Karen just stares at her. Obviously it was from her garden, but she doesn't want to tell Adelia that. Anyways, Adelia takes a bite of the apple pie and surely enough it's as delicious as it smells. With this tasty snack, Adelia plans on making the pastry chef their own exclusive pastry chef. This has Karen stunned, prompting Adelia to ask if she had said something strange. Karen only smiles. However, in her mind, Kiri's father is already the exclusive pastry chef for the Hatson Count's household. If Adelia pushes through with her plan, the shop might close down and they won't have apple pie anymore. That'd be bad news. Karen tries changing the subject and asks Adelia about why she's here today. Was there anything Adelia needed? Remembering, Adelia instructs Sebastian to get the box they had brought with them. Opening the box, Adelia presents Karen with a custom-made dress for her. Adelia excitingly shares how primary colors would make Karen's plain face stand out. That's why she chose a pale color to suit Karen. I don't know if that was a compliment or an insult. Karen just thanks her for her consideration. Adelia then asks her if she had received the invitation. Confused, Karen asks what it's for. Silly, of course, for the royal ball. The royal ball is a glittering social event where royalty and prominent nobles gather. Well, to Karen, it's just another way of looking for life partners. Even Karen's best friend Kiri dreams of the royal ball. Every girl would want to wear the latest fashion dresses and dance to the royal orchestra. There's also plenty of delicious food and sweets too. It's a world every maiden dreams of. All except one. Karen thinks it's an event that's too much of a hassle for her. Polite conversations with royalty, dancing with strangers, the ladies' subtle competitive talk. These are all things Karen isn't good at doing. She doesn't plan on going, but she can't just say that to Adelia. So now Karen looks rather defeated, especially when Adelia tells her they depart for the royal ball tomorrow. Adelia even tells her she can relax at their townhouse until the ball. Stuttering, Karen tries telling her soon-to-be sister-in-law that she won't go to the ball this time around. But Adelia insists that maybe Karen can go to the capital to do some sightseeing. Maybe then Karen might have an unexpected encounter. Stunned, Karen realizes what Adelia is trying to do. They're saying she should quickly find a partner since her existence is a mere marriage obstacle between Adelia and Clyde. Curtsying, Adelia tells her she'll be back tomorrow to come pick Karen up by carriage. Karen's head is swirling as she really doesn't want to go. She tries talking to Adelia about the lady's plans on going home, but Adelia only snaps at her. With hands on her waist, Adelia sarcastically asks Karen if she still wants to chat with her. Karen grows quiet and sees the lady out. After Adelia leaves, Karen is feeling more tired than ever. She slowly walks up the stairs and lays on the sofa. She's now thinking if she should really go to the ball or not. Not only that, but Karen is now wondering what her brother saw in Adelia to decide on getting married. Definitely because she's beautiful and has a nice figure. Aside from her physical attributes, Adelia is also a countess's daughter and really sharp-tongued. That last part has Karen in disbelief. Is that what her brother really likes? Karen is taken out of miserable thoughts when she sees Chad's tail wagging behind a vase. She then calls her dragon out, assuring it that it's okay to come out now. When Karen peeks behind the vase to get him, she sees Chad munching yet again. It seems this dragon has an abysmal appetite for food. While Karen clears out the dishes, she worriedly asks Chad if he really ate all that with such a tiny body. She's worried that Chad might hurt his stomach. Not only that, she was also worried when he disappeared. Coincidentally, Clyde has come home from work and having heard the conversation, he asks about what that last part was about. As he thanks her for his lunch, Karen welcomes him back and fills him in with her decision of going to the royal ball. It would be a waste if she didn't, especially that she has a custom-made dress now. Looking at the dress, Clyde can't help but admire it. He now understands what made Karen change her mind. Karen's brows furrow when she sees Clyde admiring the dress, highlighting how she was told they'll leave tomorrow, yet her brother here is impressed. Karen is only worried because she doesn't have much time to prepare, and of course that she has to leave things here like Chad and her garden. But Clyde assures her that he'll take care of Chad and also water the garden. While Clyde smilingly tells her to have fun, Karen looks at him with an untrusting look. Participating in the royal ball would mean Karen will meet and hopefully connect with other people. She wonders if Clyde knows what that entails, or maybe he has the same goal as Adelia. Maybe he wants Karen to find a marriage partner quickly as well. With that, Karen smiles at her brother and tells him she wants to check if she still knows the dance. So she asks Clyde to practice with her, on which he readily agrees. Clyde jokes, saying he doesn't want Karen to step on her partner's feet, so of course they'll practice. They both agree to practice after dinner. With that, Clyde goes to freshen up while Karen prepares their meal. After dinner, Karen puts on the dress Adelia had given her, even tying her hair up. She then goes to Clyde's room to see if he's ready as well. When Clyde tells her he's all set, Karen enters his bedroom and sees how handsome Clyde looks in the formal attire he has on. It looks like formal attire for the royal ball too. Then Clyde slightly bows and asks Karen if she'll dance with him, even kissing her gently. Blushing, Karen agrees and Clyde immediately takes her hand while wrapping his arm around her waist. They start dancing to the tune of the music. While Karen thinks about the counting and when to turn, she praises Clyde for how good he is. It takes a while before Clyde tells her the truth, revealing how he secretly practiced earlier. Karen is now angry because that's actually considered cheating. Clyde only laughs, apologizing as he does so. In Karen's mind, she wishes this moment would last forever. While they dance, Karen randomly asks her brother if she really has an ordinary face. Clyde looks at her confused, asking why she would ask her that out of nowhere. He then realizes someone might have told Karen that and asks about it. Karen sheepishly coughs out a laugh, confirming Clyde's suspicions. With a serious face, Clyde tells her that no matter what anyone says, he likes her for her cuteness. Karen could only stare at her brother in pure surprise. Clyde, on the other hand, lets go of Karen and covers his face in embarrassment. Turning around, he tells Karen to forget what he said, but then reminds her not to forget how cute she is. Karen stutters in agreement as she blushes, but her mind keeps playing what Clyde had said over and over again. He likes her. Not wanting to make things even more awkward, Karen excuses herself as she reasons out she has to prepare for tomorrow. Clyde is still blushing, not knowing what to do or say to her. After that, Karen thanks her brother for the practice lesson and leaves for her room. There, Karen covers her mouth as she continues to blush over the thought of what Clyde had said. The next day, Adelia arrives in her carriage. Her coachman then bows to greet Karen before taking care of her luggage. Inside, Adelia sits prettily and instantly greets Karen as soon as she steps in. She then tells Karen how she brought the largest, newly refurbished carriage for her. Karen awkwardly smiles as Adelia asks if she's never ridden in a carriage like this before, even wanting Karen to think of it as an honor. This will go on for the next few days. Just her and Adelia all the time. Karen prays her patience is as long as the Nile River. While traveling, Adelia asks her on what kind of man she likes. Karen doesn't really answer her because all she can think of is Clyde's face. Adelia then retracts her question, realizing it's not time to talk about preferences since some peculiar people are okay with a poor noble. Hearing this insult has Karen praying for patience. Adelia then takes Karen's hand, startling the girl in the process. Because Karen will become her sister-in-law, Adelia wants to find her that kind of groom. By that kind of groom, it's confusing if she meant a peculiar one or a poor noble. A while after, they finally arrive at the royal capital and settle in Adelia's family townhouse. In the guest room, Karen slumps herself on the bed, noting how tired she is. But then she remembers she has to take the dress out of the trunk. She's now fighting the urge to just lazily lay in this temptation of fluffiness. However, she hears a knock on the door and someone tells her that tea is ready. Adelia is also waiting for her downstairs. Karen stutters out a reply. While taking out her dress, Karen feels like Adelia is doing her best to welcome her somehow. The entire guest room seems to be curated out of Adelia's taste, pink curtains and red beddings that Adelia would like. This all makes Karen feel restless, but she can't be rude. Sighing, she says she'll be down immediately for tea. Once in the tea room, Karen takes a sip of the delicious iced tea. Giggling, Adelia loves the praise and compares it to the one served at Karen's. Theirs is exceptionally brewed by their personal chef. Of course that comment doesn't go unheard. In Karen's mind she just starts counting sheep to calm her down. But then she might fall asleep from it. Her attention is then reverted to the tea snack the butler is serving. It's melon cake from a famous cake shop in the royal capital. Karen's mouth is watering from how delicious and beautiful it looks right now. They both dig into the melon cake. Karen then thinks how good it smells. It is somehow delicious, however, there's a but to it. Adelia then voices out what Karen was just thinking, calling the melon cake unimpressive. This girl is brutally honest that it has Karen quiet. Adelia then mentions of wanting to hire the apple pie's pastry chef. She wants him to be their exclusive pastry chef. Maybe she should have offered more money. Karen immediately knows she's talking about Kiri's father, who she didn't know Adelia really scouted to hire. Calling her butler, Adelia instructs him to fire the maid who bought the cake. This decision shocks Karen, to which Adelia says she doesn't need incompetent maids around her who sully her mouth with something so shabby. There's a reason she pays for them after all. Karen tries to reason out with Adelia, saying the maid did go and buy it for the lady. This has Adelia puzzled, since that was an obvious task for the maid to do, buy her the tea snack. Karen is speechless with how sharp-tongued Adelia is. Adelia then shifts the topic, telling Karen she should go explore the city since she doesn't come to the royal capital often. Adelia is still hopeful Karen might have an unexpected encounter, and so Karen goes out to do exactly that. As she walks the city square, Karen realizes how much Adelia really wants to have her married. Moron, because Adelia really wants to marry Clyde. Karen then stumbles upon a stall that sells fruits she's never seen before. Not only that, but she sees a lot of nice things she could buy for souvenirs. However, this makes her unsure of what to get. Remembering Chad likes sweets, Karen decides to buy him some food. She then thinks of asking Adelia's butler about the specialties of the capital. Suddenly, she hears an all-too-familiar sound. Turning around, she sees a girl with her hair in a ponytail. As Karen's attention focuses on this girl, she doesn't realize there are other people around. Karen loses her balance when a passerby unintentionally pushes her, shoving Karen towards the girl. Karen immediately knows who this girl is. She's the spirit princess. The girl quickly asks if Karen is okay, to which she quickly confirms and thanks the girl for catching her. But then the girl doesn't let go of Karen. Instead, she pulls her closer and quietly asks Karen if she's also a spirit princess. Pulling away, Karen stutters, not knowing how to answer the girl's question. The girl smiles at Karen, asking if she wants to go eat parfaits together since there's a popular shop nearby. But Karen doesn't really want to. She then asks the girl about the two men behind her, to which the girl says are her bodyguards. This is the first time Karen is seeing men from the Spirit Knights. They're quite noticeable, even the people passing by are looking their way. So Karen goes with the girl for parfaits. There the girl introduces herself as Cecilia. Karen also tells Cecilia her name. After that, Cecilia expresses her surprises upon realizing there's another spirit princess beside her. Awkward. Karen isn't so sure if she's really one. However, Cecilia confirms it. She even asks Karen if she felt the pull from earlier, like she immediately knew Cecilia as the spirit princess. Instead of answering, Karen asks Cecilia if she can keep this a secret between them. Cecilia doesn't seem to understand, since living in the spirit palace guarantees them a lavish life. It even secures a good life for family left in town. Is Karen being polite to her? If so, Cecilia assures her not to worry about her. Cecilia thinks it's better for the spirit church to have two spirit princesses. However, Karen straight out tells her she doesn't want to change her current life. She honestly doesn't want to get separated from her brother. Karen is being honest right now because she feels like Cecilia will understand. If Karen explains her circumstances properly, the spirit princess might understand her decision. Meanwhile, the knights outside are talking about this current situation. This is the first time a princess has invited someone, making them curious if Cecilia had found someone she really clicks with. Inside, the girls finish their parfaits in awkward silence. This is the first time Karen had told someone about liking her adoptive brother. She just hopes Cecilia will keep it a secret. But abandoning a world-shaking role just because of love won't be allowed. An unrequited one at that. Cecilia finally breaks her silence and agrees to keep it a secret from the spirit church. But she has a condition to this. Karen is visibly looking terrified, unsure if she can do whatever Cecilia asks in exchange. Looking down, Cecilia reveals she wants Karen to be her friend. A smile beams on Karen's face as she tells her it would be her pleasure to be Cecilia's friend. Cecilia is also happy that Karen has agreed to be her friend. She had been so nervous she couldn't taste the banana parfait she was eating earlier. Even Karen admits she was nervous as well. Speaking of banana parfait, Karen wants to make one once she's home too. With her spirit princess power, she's sure it'll be delicious. Curious, Cecilia asks her if the vegetables and fruits Karen grows are all tasty. Karen happily shares they're very delicious and even better now with her spirit princess power. When Karen asks about the ones Cecilia grows, the princess tells her they're inedible. This has Karen shocked and confused. Cecilia then asks if she can visit Karen's home sometime because she really wants to try the vegetables in her garden. Although that's fine with Karen, she's curious if Cecilia is even allowed to go outside. Cecilia assures her she can go out with the Pope's permission. Karen is deeply curious with the kind of vegetables Cecilia grows and how they're different from her. Seeing Cecilia, Karen takes in her gentle voice and warm smile. She's happy to have met the other spirit princess and have made friends with her. Going home, Karen is elated with how fun things were earlier. This is all thanks to Adelia as well. However, Karen stops her tracks when she realizes she's lost. Looking around, she doesn't know where she is. Luckily, a handsome man sees her and asks if she's in trouble. The night of the royal ball finally arrives. Karen comes down the stairs wearing the dress Adelia had given her. She also has her hair done. Might I say, she looks rather beautiful. As she thanks the servants for waiting, they compliment her for looking so lovely and saying her dress suits her perfectly. Adelia basks in all these praises since she's the one who picked out Karen's dress. Karen then thanks her for the compliment, even saying that the bright dress suits Adelia as well. Hearing this, Adelia asks her sister-in-law if she's not afraid in being overshadowed. Karen dryly chuckles, saying Adelia doesn't have to worry about her. She's not used to all this attention, after all. Unlike Adelia, they soon depart for the ball, and once there, Karen notices how much Adelia stands out, especially that she's known to most attendees. Carol, a girl who knows Adelia, goes to greet the lady and even asks about Karen. Adelia gladly introduces Carol to Karen, mentioning she's the daughter of the Earl of Aldous. However, Karen's polite greeting is cut short when Carol asks if Karen's father is the former provincial count. After Karen confirms this, Carol quickly excuses herself, saying she has kept her friend waiting. Carol's reluctance in making friends with Karen is obvious even at this time of the night. Crossing her arms, Adelia expresses how talking to a foolish woman like Carol, who doesn't understand the value of a provincial count, would be a waste of time. This surprises Karen when Adelia has been continuously mocking her family for being poor. Yet now she's acknowledging it for the first time ever. With that aside, Adelia tells her they'll now start looking for that rare gentleman who doesn't mind a poor noble. Standing in a small group makes it easier for people to talk to Karen, so Adelia hopes someone will accidentally talk to her. And there's the usual Adelia she knows of. Not long, people start gathering around Adelia. A gentleman even bows to ask her for a dance, leaving Karen all alone. All those people were after Adelia, and now Karen is awkwardly alone. Thinking of getting a drink, Karen goes to the refreshment table to get one. As she's about to get a glass of champagne, Karen accidentally touches hands with a man. She immediately recognizes the man from yesterday. Karen then offers him a glass of champagne. The man smiles at Karen, realizing the girl he met yesterday is in fact a young lady. Maybe this is fate? The man had asked Karen if she was lost, to which she nods. After all, she's not used to the royal capital. With that, she asks him if he could show her the way to the main street of the shopping district. The man readily says he'll gladly accompany her instead. Shy Karen had refused his offer, but he assures her it's just while walking. A while after, Karen recognizes one of the streets now. But then she couldn't find the man anymore. Like he just disappeared. With this fated encounter, Karen properly thanks the man for helping her out yesterday. The man smiles at Karen before introducing himself as Count Emory. Karen immediately recognizes his last name. After all, the Emory family owns a land rich in fertile soil producing various vegetables in many territories. It's a land called the Country of Vegetables too. Hearing this has Cyril smiling, who feels honored that their family's name has reached the ears of the Lady Aldous. With that, Cyril bows down to ask Karen for a dance. The lady is startled, telling him honestly how she's not really good at dancing. But Cyril isn't bothered with that, saying he'll consider this as Karen's thank you gift for guiding her. Everyone looks at the pair with deep curiosity. It's the first time they've seen Karen, so they all want to find out who this woman is, especially that she's dancing with Cyril. Meanwhile, Cyril tries getting to know Karen by asking her of her hobbies, but Karen is pretty much preoccupied with counting her dance steps and all. She gives him a clipped answer, saying it's home gardening. Her focus is still on her dance steps. Hearing Karen's answer has Cyril smiling even more. He praises her for having such a wonderful hobby, especially that growing crops is fun. Karen is surprised that Cyril is interested. Most of the nobles usually look at her weirdly for having such a hobby. Right when Cyril asks to come and see her garden sometime, Karen misses a step and lands her healed foot on Cyril's foot. She immediately apologizes to Cyril, who's now crouched in pain. Recovering from that, Cyril gives her an assuring smile as he asks his question once more. As they continue to dance, Karen tells him yes. The dance soon ends and Karen bids Cyril goodbye. Adelia then goes to Karen, asking if it was the son of Count Emory she danced with. She quickly asks if they managed to talk and if the conversation went well. Turns out the Emory family is rich, rivaling the Hatson family at that. Wow, seems like Adelia is very invested. Karen points out they were just talking about agricultural stuff and that Cyril was just curious with her garden. Adelia's face beams like a proud mother hen, saying Karen's quirky hobby finally paid off. The girls aiming for Cyril are now in panic. Karen seems nervous, especially that they exchanged addresses. Not like she's going to get married ASAP, right? They just met. Returning home, Karen tells Clyde all about the ball. Clyde is surprised that Karen danced with Count Emory's son at the ball too. Chad isn't interested in the conversation at all. He's busy munching on the food Karen had brought from the trip. Clyde then asks his sister on what they talked about. After all, Cyril is a high-ranking noble. Karen casually shares how they were just talking about her home garden, something that Cyril would like to see next time around. Clyde is impressed since Karen's hobby is totally unique. Turns out it became a starting point. After sharing how fun it was, Clyde gives Karen a really happy smile. Almost too happy that has Karen annoyed. Just like Adelia, he said the same things and is as happy as she is. Their conversation is cut short when they notice Chad is choking on the banana chips he ate. Apparently the dragon managed to eat all the chips and is now fighting for its life. Karen immediately grabs some tea for Chad to drink. After that, both Clyde and Karen even joke around. While Karen washes the dishes, she thinks about Cecilia. She had wanted to tell Clyde about her too, but she changed in her mind since she has to be careful not to accidentally mention the spirit princess status. After putting away the dishes, Karen looks at her luggage that she needs to put away as well. But first, it takes a short break, laying on the couch for a quick nap. But then her nap turns into a deep slumber. When Clyde sees Karen's solemn face, a warm smile forms on his face. He then carries Karen bridal style so he can tuck her in her bed. Meanwhile, Cyril looks at the Karen's written address with fondness. He's definitely smitten enough to want to meet her again. In the distant future, Karen is clad in a beautiful white dress with a veil and flowers. She's slowly walking down the aisle towards the man of her dreams. In sickness and in health, swearing eternal love for each other. There's no other man she'd want to spend the rest of her than Clyde. As the two of them exchange their I do's, the priest tells them to seal the vow with a kiss. Clyde gently lifts Karen's veil to reveal her face. With that, Clyde touches her lips with his. And that's when Karen wakes up from her dream. Clyde quickly opens the door to check what the loud thud was about, and sees that Karen is now on the floor. He quickly goes to the window thinking there's an intruder right now. Karen quickly tugs on Clyde's shirt, stopping him from being an officer on the watch. She then explains she just had a scary dream and sleepwalked off the bed. Only then does Clyde stop his frantic actions and pats Karen on the head. He asks his sister not to startle her first thing in the morning. After that, Karen realizes she's still wearing the clothes from yesterday. She even has her apron on too. She then tells Clyde she slept on the sofa yesterday, to which he replies how he carried her to her bed. Karen then thanks her brother for the kind gesture, especially that she might have been heavy. Clyde doesn't hesitate and agrees, earning him a hard pillow slap from Karen. She's so annoyed now, but at the same time her heart is racing. Blushing, Karen calms herself with deep breaths. Once that's done, Karen gets on with her day and tells Clyde she's gonna go pick vegetables for breakfast. It's running a bit late too. With a book in his hands, Clyde tells her not to rush since it's his day off. In the garden, Karen starts picking some ripe blueberries. Seeing the harvest has Karen all giddy. She'll definitely make some jam with these. Breakfast is soon served and both Karen and Clyde are enjoying their meal. Karen then informs Clyde that she'll be going to Kiri to deliver the souvenirs she bought from the royal capital. At the mention of going to the city, Clyde offers to carry all the stuff for Karen, especially knowing she'll go shopping as well. But Karen tells him to stay put and relax. Suddenly, Clyde sees the empty jar on the table and asks Karen about it. The jam is all gone and they're staring at the cute culprit in the existence of Chad. Both Clyde and Karen share a laugh as the latter wipes Chad's mouth. As Karen walks to town, she sees and greets Brian, who also greets her back. When asked if she's going shopping, Karen immediately shares she's going to go see Kiri. Karen then notices the backpack, hat and water bottle Brian has and asks if he's going out too. Brian starts blushing, sharing how he wanted to give flowers for the summer festival to Kiri, so he's going for a little trip into the forest. Karen seems excited upon hearing this. Flowers for the hair at the summer festival sounds nice. Girls who have a partner by the age of 16 wear a flower ornament behind their right ear. Karen is happy that Kiri is lucky enough to have someone who prepares flowers for her. Brian hopes Kiri will be happy too. He wants this to be a surprise, so he asks Karen to keep it a secret for now. Karen's eyes twinkle in determination, agreeing to Brian's request. After she waves him goodbye, Karen continues her walk to Kiri's family shop. As soon as Kiri sees her, the girl immediately asks Karen why she's grinning. Right now, Karen is beet red and is smiling from ear to ear. After Karen tells her it's nothing, Kiri then asks if she can borrow the power of the apple-growing big sis once more. Before Karen can answer her, Kiri is being called by some kids who are asking for a taste test of the apple pie and tea. Seeing these little kids, Karen praises her for being popular amongst the kids as well. She then tells Kiri she's here bearing souvenirs from the royal capital. With that, Kiri remembers the royal ball and asks how it went and if Karen met anyone wonderful. When Kiri asks if her friend had a fateful encounter, Karen sheepishly laughs before saying there was none. Her answer disappoints Kiri. However, she remembers the summer festival is in 2 days and asks of Clyde and Karen's plans. Karen regretfully tells her Clyde will have duties at the summer festival and she's going to just stay at home since going alone is a bit tiresome. Kiri's face beams with excitement when she suggests they go together instead. Karen quickly says she can't. After all, Brian has prepared a surprise for Kiri and she doesn't really want a third wheel, right? Looking around, Karen realizes the summer festival is really happening in 2 days. The streets are now filled with festival preparations. She honestly forgot about the festival. Karen thinks about how lucky Kiri is. Right then, Karen wonders if Clyde had sent a flower ornament to Adelia. There was no sign of him sending one. This has Karen feeling guilty, thinking Clyde might be holding back because of her. But even if he did, she'll be annoyed, which makes things just complicated. Suddenly, the postman calls Karen's name. He was about to visit her house, but then he saw Karen and thought to approach her to deliver her letter. As soon as Karen reads the sender, she sees it's from Cecilia. Cecilia had written immediately after she returned home. She shares how it's been hot these days and hopes Kara is doing well. Cecilia then tells her she's fine and had started growing crops as soon as she returned to the headquarters. Cecilia had tried changing the spells and the types of vegetables, but they still don't taste very good. Hearing his has Karen worried, wondering why it's different for Cecilia. Ending the letter, Cecilia expresses how much she wants to try the crops Karen had made and would like to visit her home in 2 weeks. Karen is more than happy to receive her new friend in the Aldous home. She's not sure if she can be of help though. Now that she has Cecilia, Karen also wonders if she can ask her for some advice on how to make her brother prioritize his own happiness over hers. Returning home, Karen is confused to find the house quiet. She calls for Clyde and Chad but is only met with silence. She then hears some noise coming from the bathroom and goes to see what it is. Inside, Clyde is laughing at Chad, who's thrashing in the water. He's trying to give Chad a bath, which we already know the dragon really hates. Clyde tries assuring the dragon that the water's fine now but still doesn't want the bath. Karen then announces she's home. However, when Clyde turns his head to greet Karen, he sees that she's already wet from all the water. Realizing that her clothes are now see-through, Karen screams bloody murder as she exits the bathroom. Clyde then goes after her, repeatedly apologizing to her. Karen just hugs a pillow, covering herself up as she tells Clyde to leave her alone. Karen then goes to visit her best friend to confide about what had happened. Blushing, she recalls how her clothes were completely soaked and clinging to her. Kiri can't help but giggle, telling her how that sounds like quite the disaster. Karen quickly tells her friend this is no laughing matter since it was such an embarrassing moment for her. Kiri then points out that Clyde did apologize properly soon after. When she suggests for Karen to forgive her brother already, Karen's brows furrow in disagreement. Kiri doesn't want her friend to linger on anger that long, since that's just too tiring. Karen closes her eyes, worrying about how she got too angry earlier. Now she can't take it back. She realizes she ended up piling her own frustrations on top of it and ended up exploding it all on Clyde. Kiri's mother suddenly calls on the girls, telling them that Clyde has arrived and seems to have some business with Kiri. Furrowing her brows, Karen turns her head. Speak of the devil indeed. The two girls go down to meet Clyde, who then asks his sister if she came here to hang out with Kiri. Karen, who hides herself behind Kiri, gives him a clipped yes. Wanting to change the subject, Kiri asks Clyde as to what he needs with her. Kiri's plan does work because Clyde is now telling her why. Apparently, this is about Brian, who hasn't returned since yesterday. Now Kiri's cheery smile is replaced with worry. Brian's family has now put in a search request. Since Kiri is his girlfriend, the family thought she might know where he went. But no matter how much Kiri thinks about it, she can't give Clyde an answer. Clyde also adds that the town guards are searching for Brian right now, assuring Kiri everything will be fine. In case she remembers something, Clyde asks her to contact them as soon as possible. Now Kiri's eyes are starting to tear up, not knowing where her boyfriend could have gone to. Meanwhile, Karen recalls something about yesterday. She did meet Brian, who wanted to give Kiri flowers for the summer festival. That's when Karen remembers that Brian did go to the forest for a bit. Karen quickly tells Clyde that Brian might be in the forest, detailing how she saw him in town yesterday and had shared that he was going to the forest. Realizing Karen is talking about Karga Forest, Clyde turns away so he could for a search party with the guards and enter the forest. Before leaving, Clyde promises to contact Kiri as soon as they find Brian. As soon as Clyde is out the door, Kiri breaks down as if her body has gone weak. Karen is visibly worried with how pale her best friend looks. When she asks Kiri to rest in her room, the girl only mutters incoherently before making the decision to go and search for Brian too. Karen quickly tells her not to do so. Clyde did say they're sending a search party, so it might be better to wait. Kiri is just worried is all, especially that it's strange that Brian hasn't come back since yesterday. In her mind, he must be in trouble. He might have gotten lost and he might be hungry as of this moment. Tears begin to fall from her face as Kiri's worried thoughts take a downturn. Now she's thinking Brian might be injured, or might be in pain and feeling scared. With feeling like this, Kiri doesn't want to sit around and wait. Looking at her best friend, Karen's face etches with both sadness and understanding. What if Clyde had disappeared like Brian? And so Karen agrees to Kiri's plan. They quickly prepare some stuff to bring with them. Water, ointment, bandages, and some towels. They've even decided to bring the bread on the shelf too. While Kiri's dad are busy tending to serving customers, the girls are determined to slip through quickly. However, before the girls could make a dash for it, Kiri's mom comes out from behind bearing some more pastries. When she asks the girls where they're headed, both of them seem distraught. Kiri slowly tells her mom they're going to the Karga forest for a bit. Her honesty has Karen surprised. But Kiri's mom doesn't seem to mind at all, believing the girls are just going out there for a picnic. She even tells the girls to take some cookies with them and come back before it gets dark. Even though Karen thinks they'll get scolded later, she's also glad the story about Brian didn't get passed along. She's also surprised Kiri had told her mom the truth as to where they're headed too. Kiri tells her she couldn't lie on the spot. Speaking of surprises, Kiri was also surprised when Karen had said to come along. Karen then shares how she would have reacted the same as Kiri. If the person she liked went missing, she wouldn't be able to just wait either. Hearing this, Kiri can't help but ask Karen if she has someone she likes right now. When she presses her about this man's identity, Karen persistently denies it, emphasizing the part if she had someone she liked. After some time walking, they're finally inside the forest where Karen picks up some noticeable white stones. Upon closer inspection, Karen takes them and plans to place them as markers where they might get lost. This is the first time she's going deep into the forest, so this should help too. No doubt Kiri is amazed with how smart her friend is. They then start calling out for Brian. They've reached a stream and climbed up a makeshift bridge to cross over. Karen has noticed that the forest up here suddenly got so thick. While Kiri is busy calling out for Brian, Karen starts placing the white stones, using them as marker stones. Unexpectedly, they come upon a thick bush and decide to cross over it. Since this doesn't look like a path, the girls need to force themselves into there, especially that it looks brighter over there. Karen, walking behind Kiri, is busy breaking a spider's web along the way. When they finally reach the other side, a huge tree greets them. Both girls are in awe with how humongous it is. There's a bird's nest on top of the branches, and a squirrel is even roaming around it. Touching it, Karen can feel the tree's importance to this area. This must be everyone's precious home. Suddenly, Kiri calls her over because she sees a path nearby. When Karen turns to follow her, a voice tells her not to go that way. Puzzled, Karen looks around to look for the voice's owner. She doesn't find anyone. Still, the voice tells Karen that the humans they're searching for is on the path on the right side. The voice then calls Karen its beloved spirit princess. When Karen starts calling the voice the tree's spirit, the voice giggles and introduces itself as Karga, the spirit who dwells in this forest. It expresses how happy it is to meet Karen, the spirit princess. Karen's attention is then reverted back to Kiri, who's been calling her name. Karen then looks back to the voice, sharing how it's also an honor to meet Karga. Karen then tells Karga that they're in a hurry. Understanding what she meant, Karga tells them to hurry and save the boy. After Karen thanks Karga, she goes to tell Kiri they need to go the other way. The girls then start shouting Brian's name. After some time, they hear Brian's voice calling out Kiri's name. Kiri quickly goes into the bushes but is shocked to see that it's actually a cliff. Kiri can only look down as she falls from it while Karen rushes towards her best friend. It's already too late for Karen to reach her hand towards Kiri. Luckily, Kiri doesn't suffer a painful fall because Brian manages to catch her in time and calls Kiri a klutz. Teary-eyed, Kiri points out how Brian's the one who's been missing and starts getting emotional as she asks what had happened to him. Brian immediately apologizes, asking if he had made his girlfriend worry. Kiri readily confirms this. Of course, she's been worried sick, and that's why she came looking for him in the first place. When Kiri asks him why he had gone into the forest in the first place, Brian clutches his forehead in embarrassment. He's now trying to find the right words to explain himself. Karen has been watching the pair from above, and seeing that Brian's looking her way, she immediately gestures him that she didn't mention the flower crown at all. Brian then gives her a quick salute to say thanks. And so Brian nervously calls Kiri's name, and without much words, he pulls out a beautiful arrangement of flowers from behind her. Smiling, Brian praises how it definitely suits his girlfriend. Seeing the flowers, Kiri tells him how she's never seen such beautiful light blue flowers before. Brian gives her a smile before explaining that these ones only bloom deep in this forest. Kiri quickly realizes what Brian had meant and asks if he went all the way in Karga Forest just to pick these. Brian doesn't have to answer her yes, Pristachia Ranos just comments on how they perfectly match Kiri's hair color. Kiri lunges herself towards Brian, hugging him so tightly that it sends the boy backward. Meanwhile, Karen lets out a fake cough to let these two lovebirds know they have an audience. She then asks them if they could climb up if she finds a rope. Detailing out what had happened to him, Brian shares how he was chased by a wolf and fell here. It seems he has hurt his leg while escaping, so he can't really stand right now. When Karen asks if it would be possible if Kiri helps him, Kiri gives her a sheepish smile as she shares she has twisted her ankle as well. It hurts right now, rendering Kiri immobile. With that, Karen takes her bag off and slowly brings it down using some vine. Knowing Brian must be hungry, Karen tells him there's water and bread inside the bag. After that, Karen tells them she'll go call for help. The lovebirds are shocked since that means Karen will be going alone. But before they could say anything, Karen has already bolted through the bushes. Karen quickly finds one of her stone markers. She finds one after another, making her think it should lead her back to the main road if she just follows the trail she made. However, Karen hears noise coming from nearby. This has her recalling what Brian had said about being chased by a wolf. Karen then picks up a stick from the ground, arming herself from whatever it is that's coming. When the noise suddenly swooshes to where Karen is, the girl immediately lets out a frightened scream. However, she discovers it's only her brother Clyde and two other guards. For a moment there, she thought it was a wolf. Well, this is the scene that Karen wants to happen. But instead, she's still here holding onto her stick for dear life. This doesn't really look like it'll turn into the happy outcome like she hopes so for now. She needs to strike first to win. However, Karen changes her plan and makes a dash for it. That's when she sees that the noise really is a wolf. Now she's really running for dear life. Just when she thinks this is the worst scenario she could imagine, another wolf comes out of hiding and starts preying on Karen too. While running, Karen hears a voice from nearby and turns her head towards that direction. This has her missing the branch sticking out on the ground, causing her to fall to the ground. As the wolf draws near the now frightened Karen, blood spills everywhere as Clyde plunges it into the wolf's body. After that, the injured wolf along with the other one runs away almost immediately. Clyde quickly goes to Karen's aid, asking her if she's hurt. Karen quickly tells him she only fell and hit her knee, assuring him the wolf didn't bite her. With that, Clyde worriedly hugs her tight into his arms. Just when Karen starts melting into his arms, Clyde pulls from the hug to give her a proper scolding. Clyde angrily calls Karen an idiot for being in a place like this. Looking down, Karen apologizes and explains they only wanted to search for Brian too. And yes, Clyde now realizes Kiri's with her. A guilty Karen quietly tells Clyde that they found Brian as well. With that, Clyde shares the information to the other guards so they could rescue both Brian and Kiri from the cliff. The three all look guilty as the captain gives them a stern lecture. The other guards laughingly intervene, telling their captain that should be enough scolding to make them reflect plenty. The two guards then tell both Brian and Kiri that they'll be riding the guards' backs going home. That leaves Clyde to carry Karen on his back. Karen tries to say no, explaining she's too heavy. But Clyde isn't having it and throws Karen onto his back, even saying she's light as a feather. On the way home, Karen sincerely apologizes, making Clyde laugh as he says not to make him worry. Although that's not really what Karen meant, she stays quiet all the way home. The next day, Karen is picking out some fresh vegetables for breakfast. When she returns back inside, she starts prepping, and not long after, Clyde comes out of his room to greet her good morning. He's already dressed for work too. Today they're having chilled tomato soup and zucchini, paprika, and eggplant baked with cheese. Their usual morning looks rather delicious, as always.